What are some of our greatest lessons from the ranch?
Never kick a fresh cow turd on a hot day. Don't
Man,
squat with your
the
Don't
spurs
wisdom in
on.
don't
that.
kick it on a short day or a cold day
Yeah,
either, because
that
that'll
hurts
really
too.
hurt you.
Woof. I'll tell you what, going down on a sled,
Oh
Oh
down
yeah.
yeah.
man, I learned that the hard way one year. We got some good speed going off those rims over there on the north
Yep.
side, and all of a sudden I hit this massive pile. Like, oh, my tailbone, it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yep. That'll do it.
Boy, they get hard.
Lessons, life lessons.
Sure, lessons.
Or,
I just
you know
said
what?
greatest lessons, greatest of all time.
Birth and death.
Yeah, it really is.
Man, now
If you want to
we
get
were trying to have
philosophical,
fun and be enjoying this, but now we're gonna go down the deep route. We're gonna go talk
So-
about philosophy.
So
All right.
other things would be that are more lighthearted.
Mm.
Go to the hoarder hut and you can fix nearly anything with what we have around here.
What are you calling the hoarder hut?
Oh, mostly the shop, but you look anywhere and you and your brother say that we're both hoarders. And
That's
so
not true. No,
we keep
there are certain things that I definitely am like, why are you hoarding this? But at the same time, like, there's a lot of things, like screws, like as weird as it is, screws and bolts.
metal,
Screws are
Metal.
lifesavers. Scrap
Metal.
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 Yeah, scrap metal,
hunks,
wire.
hunks of wood.
wood.
But you
To
go
an
to the
extent.
pile, you go to whichever corner, and it's amazing. Hey, we need to build this or we need to do this, and we pretty much not have 95% of it.
You're welcome.
I'm the one who's always saying, let's save it
Listen,
too.
Grandpa's upstairs saying the exact same thing because he was
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the worst ones. It's like
He was.
you appreciate that OSHA cord, that 3-pronged OSHA cord.
I was gonna say, remember when we were
Oh,
cleaning out the
gosh.
shop, and it's like, okay, what goes, what stays, and then every time you would say, what do you want with this? Well, there was this time. It's like, no, we don't want your stories. Just tell us, go or stay.
The old man was a storyteller.
Oh, he was, and he'd giggle.
The
'Cause I
worst part was that he tried to save the cord.
An electrical
Multiple
cord.
times.
Just an extension cord.
Yeah, but it had like 3 prongs on the end with exposed wires, and it would lay in puddles.
And all the insulation and rubber outing outside was worn out, so it was exposed wires next to the water puddle. And
Isn't that what I just said?
And it was, but he called it.
Well,
you asked him something about
I
it.
told him, I said, this doesn't have the rubber coating on it anymore. You're going to get it wet and you're going to electrocute yourself. Oh, that's my OSHA 17 cord. And he said, it violates at least 17 OSHA regulations. And I'm like, okay, let's get rid of the OSHA cord.
Well, what happened what'd you do with the OSHA cord?
We threw it in the dumpster.
And what happened the next week?
He had pulled it out of the dumpster and it was back in the shop.
And you did what?
I bought him new electrical cords and I sent them with the boys and I said, remove the OSHA cord when you give him this.
And
we took the cord and we put it in the back of the pickup, and then we came home.
Yes.
didn't somebody cut it up?
I think eventually we did.
Probably, but we mostly just removed it from the ranch entirely
And I
because that
think,
was
and I think the one prong on that was like barely in. Didn't
Probably.
it wiggle too?
I think
And-
he had wired in an extra outlet
Is that what it was?
to it. That's why it split at the end.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
he had removed it and then wired it in, and so he had an extra for whatever reason. He needed 2
Who
outlets on
knows
that.
what he was doing
Hey.
with that.
He would do some stuff like that sometimes.
And he'd say, well, electrical cords are expensive. And I said, yeah, but you kind of want to stick around, I think, a little longer. So we bought him electrical cords. And we're
All right.
still using
So that
them.
lesson is you can make anything out of nothing.
Yes, you can. Grandpa was good at that.
other than life and death. What other great lessons come from the ranch?
So another thing I learned was Grandpa was amazing at spending $5 to save 4, or manufacturing and engineering something that was viable, and over the course of it spent twice as much as what it would be to just buy the silly thing. That was the spike.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was. Do you remember
We-
that?
Yeah, we tried it over Christmas one time, and then finally I looked at Dad because we had passed TSC, or those of you that don't know, Tractor Supply Company, and we'd literally seen it in the parking lot. And I go, Dad, let's go look at the price, because at the point that we're going through metal and trying
Right.
to like spend on welding projects right now, like we may end up saving money to just spend a little bit than we would to just keep trying to make this thing work.
And it was the better option.
It
And
was.
I think he was just trying to keep from driving to town.
Well, that could be too.
Or trying to make us guilty, and it
Buy
worked.
it.
If that's the
Buy
it
case.
worked. What a genius. Yeah.
He was a genius that way.
Responsibility.
He always liked it when I drove up with rolls of barbed wire.
Oh, yeah.
So
The one thing about him, he liked having the best equipment, the best supplies, whatever it is, as long as I was paying for it,
There it
including
is.
whiskey.
That's true.
that's probably where it was
Hey,
most noticeable.
except all right, I'm gonna have to. Grandpa, you're welcome. I'm taking care of the old man right now, because you would get Jack Daniels. That is some of the worst crap
Grandpa
I've ever
liked
drank.
it. Grandpa
Yep,
liked that.
I know it was because to him that was expensive whiskey, because it was like
Oh, if he could
$15
But he
a
would buy
bottle.
Jim Beam, and I'm like, Jim Beam's not bad. Like
No.
I didn't drink Jim Beam for the longest time because you always said something, and then I actually went to the distillery and I was like, you know what, this ain't half bad. I don't know what the old man and the older old man was thinking. Like this is
Well,
actually pretty good stuff.
he probably drank too much of it one
Yeah,
time.
it might have been not me.
Mhm.
I mean, I drank too much Jack Daniels one time. and it
Here's
kinda ruined it.
there's a difference between Jim Beam and Basil Hayden single barrel reserve.
That's not true. That's not true. Don't you
They're
say
not.
that, because Jim Beam's got Devil's Cut. Jim Beam has Jim Beam
Oh,
bottled in
that's
bond.
true.
Jim
Yeah.
Beam also has Knob Creek. It's got, like you said, Basil Hayden. It's got Baker's.
It
Like
would have been
don't.
fun to take Grandpa to some of those distilleries.
Oh,
and
I
see
would have
what he
loved to.
thought.
It would have been
Yeah.
fantastic.
Of course,
I
we'd have
wish
been
the other
picking him up
grandpa
off the
liked
sidewalk.
whiskey as much as we do, because he would do it. But we get to go with him to breweries all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
yeah,
like
he's not
beer,
much of a
yeah.
whiskey drinker.
So an appreciation of good fine whiskeys and beer.
So that's the greatest
That's
lesson.
a life lesson.
No,
No.
No.
well, it's a lesson.
A lesson.
Man, this conversation went so far away from what I was trying to do. Like
Well, you shouldn't probably include us then.
ingenuity, life and death. What was the other one?
Hmm.
We started off with something. It was
Hoarding. I mean,
ingenuity.
yeah,
I think appreciation for nature. You get to see the sunrise and sunset every
that-
day.
that is true.
And you get
That's
to
true.
listen to snowfall. That's cool. It's quiet.
Can't believe I just heard you say that.
You have been up here.
When
The
it's
snow has fallen and
and
it's
it's just
dead silent, and you can hear the snowfall. That is cool. Yes.
I guess. Yeah. I'll say my favorite time, because I do enjoy the winter as much as I get cold so easily. I do enjoy the winter. One of my favorite things is going outside and it is super silent. Like
Mhm.
people don't understand that snow is the greatest sound dampener
absorber. Yeah.
in the world, and you can hear animals scurrying underneath, and
Mhm.
it is pretty cool. I'll give you that.
Northern Lights is one of my favorite
Oh,
phenomenons.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just a hit or miss sometimes, though, is the only thing. I wish it was more consistent.
Well, if we were a little more north, we'd see them more.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
pretty lucky that we
We're-
get to see
yeah.
them as often as we do. We
I wonder
missed
if-
them last weekend.
I wonder if places like Havre and Glasgow and like Kalispell see them pretty often.
Oh,
or
that's-
not.
Yeah,
yeah.
they get
Well,
it a
it's
little
the-
more often.
Kalispell might be behind the mountain a little bit more.
Yeah.
Havre
Yeah.
would be good. Glasgow would be good because it's more out off the north or the east face. So they're
Yeah, Wolf
Mountains are
Point, because that's up
mature.
in the upper
yeah.
northeast too. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so those are some of the greatest lessons: enjoyment of nature, making with ingenuity some of the most OSHA respected
Acceptable.
materials you
Mhm.
could possibly find. And I don't know,
And
there was other
hoarding.
stuff too.
Yeah,
but-
hoarding's a big one.
We could be in the books for this is what happens when it goes wrong. for
Yeah,
their ocean
Yep,
manuals.
100%.
you-
Well, we will make a book one day that says this is what not to do while ranching. Everybody's like how to. This is what not to
Not
do.
to
do.
We'll author
And
that.
don't forget your carpenter book of modifications. Modify.
right. With that, we will call her a day.